Hello everyone, welcome back to the course. In this section, we'll be having hands-on coding, which will put to use what you have learned and will make you code ready. You will learn about DOM manipulation, how to take inputs, how to add event listeners, and how to create new elements in this section. The challenge over here is DOM manipulation. In it, you have to create a to-do list. First, take an input, have a button associated with it. Then you add certain text to the input box and click add button. It should create a new to-do item. And when you click on that to-do item, it should get destroyed. Alright, let's start with this challenge. This is the starter index.html that we'll be using. In here, I'll be writing all the JavaScript code inside the script tag, although you can write it in a different file as well. But since we are doing DOM manipulation, it is better to see the markup as well. So let's start. Firstly, I'll start off with the heading to-do list. And in here, we have three main things that we have to define. First is the input box, then the button, and then a container in which we have to add all the to-do items. First, defining an input box, the type would be text. And we need to add an ID to it. This is very important. Unless we add an ID or some kind of identifier, because we have to pull this into JavaScript in order to manipulate it. That's why we have to create an ID for it. We can also go ahead and do it with the class as well, but it is easier to get it through an ID. And then we'll have a placeholder. So here we have the input box and it says enter to do item. That's what we defined as a placeholder. Next up, we need a button so that when we click it, we can add this item to the list. Again, we need an ID associated with it. Next up, a container in which we will add all the list items. So here our HTML is complete. We have all the three things that we need. And then let's start off with the script. The very first thing would be to pull this DOM element from the HTML to JavaScript. For that, we have a few different ways. We can have a get element by ID or query selector. Let's use get element by ID. Let's have to do input equal to document dot get element by ID. Document is an API which has a dot get element by ID. As the name suggests, you can get elements from the DOM to JavaScript using this ID. So we just provide it with the ID, whatever we want. Here is the to do input. And now this to do input is the object representation of this input box. While we are at it, we'll also pull the button and the unordered list. And also the unordered list. We have pulled all these three different DOM elements in the script. Now we can start manipulating them. Whenever we add anything here and then click add item button, that's where the adding of item should begin. So we have to do this in an event based manner. Let's add an event to this add item. Whenever we click the add item button, then it will pull the data from this input box and then it will render it over here in the bottom side. To add a click event listener, we will take the button and add a click event listener to it. Add event listener, you can add multiple different event listeners. One is the click event. This adds an event listener to this DOM element. Whenever a click event happens on this item, then it triggers a function. We can define a function over here. You can add an arrow function or normal function, anything works. Inside this function, you have to take the input from here and then render it on the unordered list. Let's take the input first. We have the DOM representation of this input box with the to do input. So let's take that to do input and take the value out of that. And I'll trim this. This value gives a string, and trim removes the extra space from that. Let's first check if this input, there is any input or not. If the input is empty, then we don't need to do anything. And if the input is not empty, then we'll add that to the unordered list. If the input, the text, is not equal to empty, we have to create an item on our own in JavaScript, and then we'll attach it to the DOM. To create a new item, we have document dot create element. This expects a tag. So since we are adding it in the unordered list, it will be a list item. And let's save it with a li equal to this. We have created this li, but it is still empty. We have to add a text to it. So the text content, this property of a object, this defines what is the text inside that. So we can set it to whatever we have added from here, whatever we got from the input box. Now the li element has been created, but we still need to attach it to the DOM. Here's where this unordered list comes in. We take the unordered list and append this li item as a child to that. To do list dot append child and our li element that we just created. That means each time this click event happens, and it will check if the string is empty or not, and each time it will create a new li and then append it as a child. Let's test it out. And here we go. Hi students, this created a new item. And it keeps on creating new elements. There was one more thing that we had to do over here, is to clear the input and make the item removable on click. To clear the input, it is pretty straightforward. After we append it to the list, we take the input box and set the value to empty. Let's check that out. Okay, so now you can see whenever I click this add item button, this to do item, this becomes empty. One last thing remaining, whenever I click this item, then it should be destroyed. That means our to do item is complete, so I want to destroy it. Again, that's a click event, and after that click event, this element should get destroyed. So let's add that click event in each individual element that we create. We have the li element present to us. Exactly the same way that we did previously, added an event listener. We will do the same with the li item now. And again, we will listen for a click event. And when that click event occurs, we will run this function that will destroy this element. li.remove. .remove is a special function that removes the element. Now, once we have added this, then a event listener has been attached to all the li items. Now if I click this, then it should destroy that item. Okay, as you see, when I click this, it gets destroyed. And that is it for the challenge. You learned about how to create elements, how to destroy elements, how to get elements from the DOM to JavaScript, and how to also attach items from JavaScript to the DOM. That's it for this lecture. See you in the next one.